Hello, everyone. My name is Marlon, and I'm a professional services engineer at NXLog. And it's good to be back here doing another video for you guys. And today, I want to show you how we can easily integrate NXLog with Graylog SIEM solution. I promise with just a few steps, we will be able to create the configuration, collect the logs, and of course, send and integrate with your Graylog SIEM solution. I just want to summarize few steps and just review some steps that we will cover at this video. So the first one, we will be able to create the templates to collect events for Linux and Windows operation system. And then we will be able to create the input to receive those logs on the Graylog side. And then we will integrate the NXLog to be collecting those events and send in the right format to the Graylog server. Okay, so let's just get started and I will show you how easily we can do this. Here on my platform, I will show you a few steps that it will help us to create the templates. So if we go to Agents tab, I will have a couple of agents already with my configuration, right? But we will just create a new one just to show you guys how easy it is to create the templates. So if you go to the configurations overview, I will add a new template. Let's call this as Windows events to Graylog, okay? And then here on the search bar, I will type Windows to see all the options I have. So for this point, I will collect the Windows event logs using my MS VistaLog input model. And as soon as I have my input, I also have to define my destination. And for the destination, we need to create the input type on the Graylog side. So before we create it, let's say that I will use a UDP to send those events to my Graylog server. So if we go to the Graylog, I have my Graylog already set and receiving events, but you can easily go to System, Inputs, and then create your own input side. In my case, I am receiving logs using UDP protocol for GELF, for the input type GELF, and on that specific port. You will be able to create and to go and create even more inputs in case you want, as like TCP. You can just create a new input, set the right port and some other options as well, RTS, TLS, and you will be able to set your configuration on the Graylog side. So as soon as I have already my port and the UDP protocol, I will be able to go here on my platform side and select the output that I will send logs to the Graylog. So I can just type UDP, and then I will go to UDP transport. As soon as I do it, I had to put the configuration for the IP and the port that I will send the events. And in that case, it will be the Graylog server. So in my configuration and in my lab, that is the IP I am using for the Graylog server. I can even change here the name for Graylog, okay? And I will save it. So as you can see, I have on my configuration an input and I have an output. So to send logs to Graylog. It is needed because as I am using GELF to format the events before sent to the Graylog, I will have to enable that option to view as a configuration text. And then at this point, I need first to add my output type that in this case will be GELF UDP, okay? GELF UDP, because I'm using a UDP protocol to send those events. And then as I am using GELF, I also need to add the extension to GELF So I will just copy that from my previous configuration and just add here the extension. So I am adding the extension GELF to be able to send my events to the output type using GELF. Okay. So if we back here, I have my input as well, and I have my output sending logs to the Graylog. I can even have more and more inputs and outputs as well. And one thing that I want to mention, and I believe that's very important, NXLog documentation is totally available online. So we don't have PDFs with installation and admin guides. So everything you need, you can just find on our portal online. And besides that, we don't have a standard Graylog model here. That doesn't mean that I don't have the option to send logs to Graylog. For example, if I try to send logs to a different SIEM, like as Chronicle, I have the option to just drag and drop a Chronicle or even others as Microsoft Sentinel and so on. But that doesn't mean that we are not able to send logs to Graylog. And as soon as you have some questions or doubt that if we are or we are not integrating with any kind of SIEM solution, you can just back here and find on our documentation. And as you can see, we have an article just how to send logs to Graylog. And we are even give you the instructions and step-by-step to create the inputs for TCP, UDP, and even provide you some examples how to collect those events as the DNS logs, how we can add the extension, how can we use the output type. So everything is available on our documentation page. So back into our templates. So as soon as I have the template, I have my full configuration with my extension model, with my input that can be Linux audit logs, Windows events, DNS as shown on our documentation. And then I have my output. So as soon as I save it, I will have that warning that output type is an expected value. This isn't a problem, and it is just a warning that is on the platform UI, that it will probably be solved on the next release. So let's just save anyway, because that was only a warning saying that it is not an expected value. And then we will back to the agents. So let's just recap for what we have so far. We have the templates, and we have already the Graylog input, able to start to receive events. So the only thing that we are missing is to assign the right templates to our agents. So as we just did it for Windows agents, we can just go here and click one of our Windows agents and then assign a configuration. And for our case, it will be Windows events to Graylog. So as soon as I save it, I will just apply the configuration to my Windows, and then those logs from Windows event logs, that's my input, will be sent to the Graylog SIEM solution. I can even go here on some dashboards and I can show you again, because that is already running on my lab for a while. You can see all the Windows and even some Linux operation system that is sending and integrating with Graylog. We can even go here on search, and you can see all the logs that we are receiving from one of my Linux system. So again, with just a couple of steps and input and output, you will be able to see and you will be able to integrate all the events you have to your SIEM solution. And in that case, in that video for that example, it will be a Graylog. Guys, once again, we are happy to help you for any problem that you may have in the future or any kind of questions you have over the integration. If you have any question, if you have any problem, just let us know, send us an email, contact our support team, and we are happy to help you during this process. See you in the next video. Thank you.